that the government claims to be making, they are not making any sacrifices. They are actually making us, the people, sacrifices for them to keep being rich. To move to the last section, protest is our democratic right. We stand with Nigerians, and the time for mass struggle is now. This might be the major part which is most controversial about this press conference. And it is that since the charter for a protest has started earlier this month, the federal government has come out in many ways to try to discourage us from protesting. Our parents did not fight against the military. They did not fight against the military, lose their lives fighting against the military just for us to come and lose the right to protest. Because the right to protest is the most sacrosanct part of democracy. In fact, many people who do not know about the fact that we are supposed to have a protest about hunger and hardship are going to be coming to this protest just because they are angry at the fact that they are telling us to not protest. Which equivocally states that Nigerians have the right to protest, peaceful assembly, and free speech. No government, no matter the number of votes you got in an election, has the right to stop the people from dissenting. And what we've seen recently is that the government has been threatening, and they are saying that because of the issues of national security, that we should not embark on the protest, that they have intelligence, that some people want to hijack the protest and make it violent. Please, a responsible government, by now, if they are saying that since like 2 weeks ago, by now should have identified those people who want to cause violence and take them out of the space. And so that we that want to do peaceful protest can peacefully protest. But they are not doing that. Instead, they are asking us to not protest. Now, the demands of our protest, the question is that in a democracy, I can decide I want to protest for anything. The demand of the protest should not be justified. So one of the arguments that they've been making is that our demands are not justified. Tinubu is still working. The demands of a protest does not have to be justified before we can have a protest. And so this is the point we are making. We are saying that if Nigeria is going to be a democracy, the government should be urging Nigerians to exercise their rights to be citizens of their country, which is their right to protest. Our government should understand that an unused right is an abused right. And so we are going to use our right to protest by August 1. On this basis, we support the call of mass protest by Nigerians everywhere across the country. That protest should start by August 1 to address all of these issues with the theme of end bad governance. We will not fold our arms while political office holders mislead our country into ruin and peril and hardship and hunger and poverty. Last but not the least, let us make it clear that the security threat that the government has been giving us, we hear it very loud and clear. We are not leaders of the protest. We are mobilizers of the protest. Just like NSAS, our protest is the protest of the masses. No leaders are going to be picked up. No leaders are going to be coerced and manipulated to relinquish our struggle until our demands are met. On that basis, we would like to state clearly that we are using this opportunity to warn the Nigerian police that if you want to come to our protest, please come and protest against your unpaid salary. Come and protest against your low salary, your low allowances. Come and protect protesters. Come and protect protesters. Please do not come to incite violence in our protest. No state agent or agent provocateurs should come to our protest to incite violence. They will be dealt with decisively, and not by us. We can only promise that we will mobilize for protest. We will not stop Nigerian masses from defending themselves. If they have been attacked, if they have learned from NSAS and the massacres that was the major feature of NSAS, we will not stop them from defending themselves. And so we are warning the Nigerian government to not incite violence, because they have history of inciting violence during protest. We still have pictures of people holding machetes attacking protesters in Lagos. We must also state this clearly, that some have said that our protest is because we want to install a military government. We detest military dictatorship. Let that be loud and clear. Our protest is for our right to live as human beings in our own country. And for that reason, we do not support a military takeover. And so nobody should blackmail us that those are protesting are in support of a military takeover of Nigeria. We are exercising a democratic right, which is the right to protest. And on that basis, we want to also warn the military that Nigerians have learned from Lekki massacre and other massacres during the NSAS. We want to warn the DSS that we have learned over the years, and we will not stay silent, because you can beat people, but they will defend themselves. And we will not be responsible for that. It will be on.
God bless you, brother. Now, that is straight to the point. Unambiguous statements. They have demands. And these demands must be met before the protests will be called off. Now, any other thing that you are kind of throwing at them, they are your imagination. All the talk, all the nonsense they are paying people, in fact, mobilizing people for, they are absolute inconsequential. Their words, it's very clear. Here is another chart, which to those of you, this one is for those of you who are already having mini stroke in your brains. The moment Showere's name is mentioned in what is going on right now. See, he is not in contention for to be a leader of anything in this regard, to the best of my own understanding. Your insecurity is what majority of you are projecting. And if you really, really want things to be different and not glory hunters, because most of you as well, most of these guys are also glory hunters, and they project this on people. They won't do, but they won't let those who want to do. So he said it in his own word that the situation of Nigeria is beyond anybody trying to come and say I'm this or that. If you are still in that mentality, you haven't got, you are still living in a shell. Nigeria is sitting on a keg of gunpowder. Calling for protests at this time and all of that is even like a saving grace. Because you see, if a revolution should kick off, like lawlessness, breakdown of law and order and everything, that won't be because of those who wanted a better place. It will be because of those who doesn't want them to have a better place. And around that time, everybody loses, right? Good. So should I make it clear, right, that it's not about who lives or nothing. The situation in Nigeria has gotten so bad, right, that it is just a matter of time before the implosion.
The approaching storm is still approaching.
Oh, yes, it's just a matter of time. And it's going to happen whether I lead it or not. It's just a matter of time. It's a ticking bomb, because you cannot hold people to ransom for this long and you will not be suffering consequences for it. It's going to blow up in their faces. It's a matter of time. You heard it from me, and you can arrest me after I said it, but that would not stop the revolution.
Hopefully not. Mr. Showore, very, very delighted to have you here.
Thank you.
It is going to happen. And as for the August 1st, that young man was on TV, so was Showore as well. I will share that with us here.
It is just an excuse to ensure that they crush the democratic rights of Nigerians. And we will not allow that. Long struggle for democracy in Nigeria will not be lost because one person wants to consolidate their power.
Okay, Ibukun Olua, right now we have the person who released the long list of demands on the planned protest is now with us. Joining us via Zoom. Omoyele Showore. Hello, Showore.
How are you? Good morning, and it's nice to be on your show. It's afternoon now, yes. Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon. Yes, very quickly, I've gone through your list of demands and find out that some of what you are actually rooting for, they really sound outrageous at the moment. You know, one of which is the returning to the fuel subsidy regime, scrapping of the Senate, immediate scrapping of the 1999 Constitution, amongst others. So, do you really want these demands, or you just want to go on protest?
No, we want the demands, and these are just minimum irreducible demands. Nigerians should actually have 64 demands, one demand per year since we got independence. But we don't want to make them too bogus. That's why we want these foundational solutions to Nigeria's problem. And one of them is to replace the 1999 Constitution, because that Constitution is one of the sources of our problems. Let the people come together and design their own constitution, just like the way Americans came together and wrote their own constitution and then improved upon it. You cannot impose a military design constitution on the people and start amending it. It's like building on nothing. So it's as simple as that. Asking to change the Senate is to reduce waste. There's nothing the senators are doing for Nigerians. They have gone on a 7 weeks break now, left the country. They are mostly contractors and extortionists. Let's just have a part-time legislative system, unicameral legislative system. People come and make laws, they go back home, they will have other jobs instead of making it a full-time job and a burden on the finances of the country. Pay Nigerian workers 250,000 Naira minimum wage. I don't need to tell you, this week, since we started talking about the protests, they called the labor leaders and approved 70,000. Who is celebrating? Except the labor leaders themselves, who were doing bosa shamefully at the Aso Rock Villa. It didn't solve the problem because 70,000 Naira is not going to buy you a bag of rice. So these are very, very reasonable demands. They're not outrageous at all. There's nothing outrageous about this demand. Asking you to clean up your electoral system by purging the INEC of people who are corrupt and who are useless, it's not outrageous. Removing the chairman of INEC who conducted some of the worst elections, is that outrageous? Asking them to remove people who are partisan relationship and put very neutral and independent and credible people to conduct elections, is that outrageous?
Okay,
I don't know what you mean by outrageous.
Well, the government's response to this is that government's response to this will be that they're already working on most of these demands that you have made. And the results will be felt in, of course, the mid to long term. It's not something that's going to happen immediately. Now, you're even talking about immediately scrapping the Senate and removing the 1999 Constitution. Of course, we had a confab which took months, So how realistic, how feasible do you think this is going to be?
We are not asking for a confab. Confab is usually the gathering of people that are friends of those in power. You know that whenever they want to have a confab, they ask you to elect someone and then they choose majority. We are talking about a sovereign confab, where the decision of that conference will not be subject to the whims and caprices of those in power. The only people who can ratify the content of this sovereign conference are the people through a referendum. That is the basic ways constitutions are made. Why are we making this sound complicated? And we can do that in a very short time. When South Africa ended apartheid, they had an interim constitution, and we can still use the 1999 constitution as an interim constitution. And then they went and made a constitution that defined the new relationship. As I said earlier today on the radio show, it's just like you get married to somebody, and then the person discovers that, look, this marriage doesn't have any solidity in it. It says, let's go and do a traditional marriage. Let's say our family. We finish seeing our family. The family said, this is our culture, this is our tradition. And then you leave the place and they say, can we get a court document? You go to a registry and you get a document that shows that you are legitimately married. And so that, it becomes a legal marriage. And then you can go to church and celebrate it. That's the referendum, in my view.
It's just to break it down. Protests in Nigeria have always been hijacked by hoodlums, which turns out
hijacked by who?
Why do you still insist
it's not true.
on going?
It's not true.
No, it is true. We've seen several. We've even seen when you were arrested and tear gassed, locked up with some of your friends or your cronies. But then you see that most times violence is always the major issue whenever protest. It's been hijacked by hoodlums. So why do you still embark on this? Why do you always still go on this kind of protest, knowing the outcome of it?
Except with due respect, you are referring to those in government as hoodlums. Then I'll agree with you. Because they're the ones who hijack peaceful protests.
Well, I've never seen a government official coming to join a protest or coming to get violent when these things are happening.
Have you never seen a police officer attacking protesters? Are they not government officials?
When they go violent, isn't it?
No. Are you telling me that those who are at Lekki Tollgate were violent when the soldiers came, they were singing national anthem, waving
Okay. Let's move on. So tell
violent?
Sorry, please.
We can't just move on from these narratives because we are now on the cusp of a revolutionary period.
Okay, let's move on. Tell us, who are those faceless individuals sponsoring these protests?
Nobody is faceless.
Okay, could you share with
Yeah,
us some of those sponsoring you?
Yes, hunger, poverty, corruption, insecurity, unemployment. They are the ones sponsoring us. How about that?
Well, when I say sponsor, I mean bankrolling in monetary terms.
Nobody's bankrolling anybody. Everybody's contributing the little they have to make this protest a reality. That's what we are doing.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Mobilisers.
If anybody was bankrolling anybody, the government would have put out the account statements. So don't let them deceive you. Nobody's bankrolling anybody.
All right, thank you very much for your intervention.
You see that idiot presenter? I decided to share that with you to that far so that you can understand the kind of bondage without social media, the kind of bondage they put the people of Nigeria in. By characters like that on TV, on radio, misleading people, pushing government-sponsored narratives to millions of people every day of their lives. Do you see the battle? The battle where people have to be like, is that true? Because they've been fed with so much lies for so long by TV presenters like that. I mean, come on. What kind of questions are those? Who is bankrolling you? Who are those sponsoring you? Why are you always going on this protest? Oh, police only attack you because you are violent. Like, what the heck? So sometimes when you want to, you get what I mean now? Whenever you want to talk about Nigerians who are doing much to say they want to stand up here and there, or whenever you want to talk about Nigeria generally, and we say, oh, they are all slaves. Don't be like that. Kindly choose your word carefully. Some, yeah, that would probably be right. But with thousands like that guy on TV, on radio, newspapers, everywhere, even educated people have been made to become dumb, stupid, ignorant. And that is why the tribalism, ethnicism, religious fanaticism, that is why they are so much prevalent in Nigeria. They are so much obvious in Nigeria, tearing the place apart. People like that on TV, on radio, pushing the narrative that help the government to spread the fear-mongering instead of them to actually educate the public. And if you don't know much, you brought on a guest, right? Man, it's sickening, right? So again, the people sponsoring the protest are...
Who are those sponsoring protest against President Tinubu? There are three. 1, Tinubu's own ineptitude. 2, unabated insecurity. 3, worsening mass abject poverty. Who are those?
So you can't move away from that. You see all those nonsense that anarchy, you always need to anarchy. The job of the police is to protect those who are protesting and arrest those who want to cause problems. And the only people who have been threatening people have been APC, ignorant agberus, thugs, terrorists, Islamic jihadists. These are people threatening people.
Why you bagono? Any effect protest. Ṣé Tinubu ni problem yìí ni àbí ẹ̀yin go we Nigeria we are àti lazy Jew àfẹ́ ṣiṣẹ́. Kí ni problem wa? Kí ni problem àwa Yorùbá gan fúnra wa? Awúsá kúrò ńbẹ̀, Igbo wà ńbẹ̀ wọ́n protest ó ṣe jẹ́ àwa fúnra wa la fẹ́ máa léra wa kúrò ńbí táwa. Ibi tọ́lọ́run ti ṣe fún wa, tọ́lọ́run ti gbà fún wa. Tó yẹ pé èèyàn ti wá, Aṣíwájú Bọ́lá Ahmed Tinubu ló wà ńbẹ̀ as a president. What are you protesting for? Kí lẹ̀ ń protest fún? Kí lẹ̀ ń protest fún? Ngbà tó kọ́ àwa ní ìsàwá Yorùbá lẹ́ni ẹ fẹ́ protest tó bá ti bí yàrá jà anybody dẹ́ni Yorùbá dà ọjọ́ tó ní wọ́n fẹ́ protest yẹn ẹ jáde síta tẹ lọ protest tẹ bá rí mi ta tẹ pa mí kí ni mo fẹ́ protest fún kí ni Aṣíwájú Bọ́lá Ahmed the president kí ló ṣe fún yín go and work tó bá ṣiṣẹ́ tó bá ṣe pọ̀ lẹ́ni wá ọlá pé ayọ̀lẹ́ mélòó ní ìjọba fẹ́ ṣe ìlú tó ti dàrú ìlú tó ti bàjẹ́ ṣé bílí pé president kan máa jí lọ́jọ́ kan àbí aṣíwájú Bọ́lá Ahmed máa jí lọ́jọ́ kan ó máa tún gbogbo ìlú ṣe ni it's not possible it's a gradually any sùúrù things will get better protest afẹ́ protest yìí ò lè help ẹni kò lè ṣe ní sí akọ̀tún máa cause violence ni ẹ lọ fọkàn balẹ̀ ẹ̀yin Yorùbá àwa ló kàn ẹ̀yin náà lẹ́ni ọmọ ẹni ò lè ṣèdí bẹ́ẹ̀ kakúlẹ̀kẹ́ sí di ọmọ ẹlòmíì ojú wo lẹ fẹ́ tán máa fi wò ní sọ ẹ pé ẹ̀yin Yorùbá náà lẹ tún jáde lẹ tún protest kiri you need to calm down let everybody calm down tó bá dẹ̀ sọ fún ẹ tó bá gbọ́ tó bá ti dọjọ́ yẹn tó lọ síta tó ní o fẹ́ protest against who against Bọ́lá Ahmed Aṣíwájú the president ló fẹ́ lọ máa protest pé kíni ṣẹlẹ̀ àti fòjé sólójì lọ́wọ́ kó bá bá lẹ́ni tí ó bá.
ẹni òfò ni ẹ ṣòfò láyé ẹ tún sí lálìkìyàmọ ẹ̀yin ra.
Inshallah wàá ṣòfò ni tó bá rí fídíò mi yìí àlàyé those are the product of Tinubu so ignorant so ignorant. He said, why are the Yorubas protesting? Why do you Yorubas always want to, or why are you always want to remove your own person? Something that God has done for Yoruba. Why do you want to join them? Hausas did it. Igbos did it. They did not protest. Now it is now the Yoruba time. You Yoruba want to join them. Instead of you to go and work because you are so lazy. All of you are lazy. We Nigerians are lazy. The way is so ignorant. Agberonio. These are people who are like a criminal. Normal. Extortionist too. He has no real life to start with. Okay. But there are many like that. So ignorant. Like who have a better life than that dangerous, useless life that he's living. Extorting people forcefully, collecting money from people, robbing people of their money. But since they are like a state protected, here you get Agberos. He can get a phone and make a video and be asking you that you are lazy. You are just lazy. Go and find a job. You need to go and look for job. When millions of people lost their jobs in the last 1 year alone, and more than, unemployment in Nigeria before this Olori Burukus 9 years ago was put at, It was put at 9% or so. Now, the unemployment in Nigeria is over 70%. They have to say the dispute. No, we don't agree with that figure. We don't agree with that figure. I have never seen them this panicky. I just thought you should know. Here is another one being panicky on behalf of the Tinubu.
A protest will not solve this problem. The protest will compound this problem, and all the participants has agreed with that. That is not a solution. And you have heard everybody has confirmed that he will do his best to ensure that this protest do not happen. Repent and ask for forgiveness from Allah. I'm sure once this is the first step we can deal with this problem. Each and every one of us do a self-assessment of himself. What is he doing that is wrong between himself and his God? What is he doing which is wrong between him and the people he is ruling? What is even he is doing which is wrong between himself and his own family in the home? So let's evaluate all this and look at them and then start to think and get a remedy for all these problems. Those between you and your family, try to see how you can remedy it. Between you and those that you are leading, try to see how you can remedy it and be fair and just to them. Or protest will.
See, these are the unfortunate souls, unfortunate, cretins in charge of Nigeria. That one, a state governor. Then you should ask for forgiveness from Allah. What is that thing that you are doing that God does not like? Maybe that is why you are hungry. That is why you have no money. That is why you are not safe in your communities. That is why you are being kidnapped. What is that thing? Protests must not happen. I've never seen them this desperate. They even had to send this Ojongolo, this Alimajiri dressed in Babanriga, to go on TV and lie. He said they organized a meeting on how to organize a meeting in Delta. The way they said they went to Delta to organize meeting And that meeting is a plan on how to organize this protest and make sure that we did. See, if you don't get the narrative right, pay attention. He said he went to Delta.
Just about 3 weeks back, we went to Port Harcourt. We spent 1 day. Then we came down to Delta State, Asaba. We spent 6 days deliberating on how to take this protest successfully. Then when we came back to Abuja, those friends that we have the agreement with them, they say that, yes, we will have the protest, but the protest we hold only in this part of the country.
What do you mean in this part?
That is within, they say the protest we hold in Plateau State, Abuja, and Kaduna.
Right.
Then we now decide, we the Northern Coalition of the youth leaders, we say no. I think something is fishy.
What was the reason?
There was no reason. They didn't give us